from our friend and our fellow Floridian, our neighbor here. We're going to huddle together in a disaster in the next few days. Kathy and I are proud to give you our friend Donna.
Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. My name is Donna, and I am an alcoholic, and my sobriety date is August 5th, 2000. That was the date, and I'm getting an emergency alert on my phone about this hurricane. And it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to be with fellow seekers. I see some familiar faces, so I feel very comfortable because I know you. And for those of you that I don't know, I know you and you know me. So I've been charged with sharing my experiences starting on page 56. And the paragraph begins, thus was our friend's cornerstone fixed in place. And so thus is as a result of what happened, that his willingness to believe was fixed in place. And it says that no later vicissitude has shaken it. Vicissitude, life's hurdle. So what happened so that afterwards I know that I'm going to be okay? And so he was aware of the inner consciousness of the God within. And so as I read this book, I have to ask myself, did I felt like this, thought like this, and did this happen to me? And I can share from my experiences that my cornerstone is fixed in place. It's because of everything I saw in step one. See, it wasn't so much of me being willing to believe in God first. I had to see my limitations relying on self, that I couldn't get past where I was at. And so once I saw that, man, all my mind was doing was lying to me. It wasn't letting me see the truth about alcohol. It wasn't letting me see the truth about drugs. It wasn't letting me see the truth about pretty much anything. Then I was willing to believe. And because of my willingness to believe, I started to have experiences with this power. And just like Fred, no later vicissitude has shaken it. I don't care what's going on in my life. A drink is not the solution. My alcoholic problem was taken away. So if the problem was taken away, and in other places in the book, it says it was relieved. In other places, it says it disappeared. It's no longer a thing for me. So when I go to meetings and I share about the things that are going on in my life, I got to do I got to do a lot better than say, well, at least I didn't drink, because that's not the thing that comes to mind for me, because the problem was taken away. See, I believe that what happened to me prior to August 5th, 2000, there was a lot of pain, a lot of misery, a lot of despair that was building up, so that I was living my life like I was at the gates of hell. But I think also what was building up was something within me. There was a spirit within me that was also building up. So that on August 5th, 2000, I was surrendered. On August 5th, 2000, self had to release me. My mind did not say on August 5th, 2000, well, you know what, Donna, I'm finally going to tell you the truth. You're powerless over alcohol. My mind didn't do that. There was something greater than my thinking mind, that myself that I created had to release me, so that I would be willing to step into the unknown, that I'd be willing to go to any length, that I would be willing to be led. It says that very night years ago, it disappeared. So for those of you that think that you stopped drinking on your last day, by the time you go through 4 chapters of this book, perhaps you'll realize that the miracle has already happened to you. And see, my mind downplayed August 5th, 2000. I knew that I was too exhausted to think about another next time. And something happened to me that I felt a power burst upon me, that I knew in that next moment I didn't have to drink again, ever. But I didn't realize that that was a miracle until I came to Alcoholics Anonymous and I read the first 4 chapters of step 1. I realized that God had already done for me what I couldn't do for myself. The problem was taken away and it disappeared. It says, save for a few brief moments of temptation, the thought of a drink has never returned. And at such times, a great revulsion has risen up in him. See, my mind will tempt me. And see, I've been on this path since 2000, in the big book since 2001. So I realize that my mind will tempt me on a lot of things. Can I see the truth in the lie? Because if I am willing to be still and not believe the dictates of my thinking mind, then perhaps if I get still, I can hear the truth from within. The thought of a drink has never returned because that's not my solution to life today. See, I didn't know that the solution was within. See, I was living my life outside in. And after the obsession to drink was lifted, I was still living my life outside in because I made another human being my God. I was living my life outside in, and I had to deal with a lot of painful codependency. And I was led to a woman that took me through this big book, and I looked at my obsessing manipulation and my need to control over another human being. And she said, Donna, your problem is your God has to become bigger. And I was making this person my God, living life outside him. A great revulsion has risen up in him. You know, what's interesting about that is like we get to a point that we cannot stop drinking. We can't control how much we drink. And then as soon as alcohol touches our lips, we recoil. Oh my God, I can't believe it's alcohol. Like, how does that happen if that's not a miracle? Revulsion is disgust, emotional reaction. So the thought, the mere thought revolts me because I know that that's not the truth today. Seemingly, he could not drink even if he would. See, now there is no choice. I lost the power of choice. It's not a reasonable option for me to drink. And it's interesting because before I would have stopped if I could have stopped. Towards the end of my drinking, I wanted to stop so bad, but I couldn't stop. Look at the miracle of healing that now I can't drink even if I wanted to drink because the problem was removed. And trust me, that's a very painful place to be in. If drinking is no longer the solution and you're trying to live life on self-will, you're going to pick something up to be okay. Because whatever I don't bring to God becomes a problem. Food becomes a problem. A relationship becomes a problem. Shopping becomes a problem. God had restored his sanity. I don't restore my sanity. A sick mind only knows sick thoughts. Thank God for step 4 because I get to see the truth in the lie of my thinking. It's how I'm being on the inside is going to dictate how I think and the things that I do. But there's a restoration that happens within that changes my belief systems that then change my actions. When I straighten out spiritually, I straighten out mentally. How I think about me and how I think about you. And I straighten out physically how I treat myself and how I treat you. So what is this but a miracle of healing? See, before I got into this book, I really just thought that I just stopped drinking, but no, I'm on the road to healing. Yet its elements are simple. This is all that it took. But see, I didn't know that there was a solution. I believe that that's why I didn't want to believe that I was an alcoholic, because once I admit that, then what? Circumstances made me willing to believe. Living my life on self-will, living my life like I was dying. I tried to commit suicide 10 years prior to August 5th, 2000, because everything within me and outside of me was becoming so unbearable. But I still was thinking that next time would be different. And I had to have a whole lot of series of next times. I had to find myself living at home with my mom, no key to get into the house, having 50 cents in my pocket after every run, smelling terribly, looking terribly. Perhaps if I have been chosen to be an agent of God, perhaps the circumstances had to have happened in my life. If I didn't have those circumstances in step one, to bring me to step one, I'd be like most people, having some human problems and living life. Power, money, and prestige would be sufficient. And I have a couple of human problems, but it wouldn't be sufficient for me to be willing to die to self in step seven and live a spiritual life. So circumstances brought me here, made me willing to believe. Because if I don't believe in a power greater than myself, I'm screwed. I can't get past where I'm at. I'll live my life like I'm okay. And I don't believe that every bit of pain and misery and despair that we go through is just for us to be okay in life. The circumstances made me willing to believe that I have purpose, that my purpose is to be of service. He humbly offered himself to his maker. And for me, the maker that I didn't understand, but I saw the results in the recovered alcoholic. I saw the light. I saw the it. I was willing to believe that if I did what they did, it's interesting because I went to Catholic school all my life, but I had not been brought into consciousness. I couldn't hear the spiritual message. I believe I was brought into consciousness that I was able to hear a spiritual message when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I remember I was doing my fourth step inventory the first time. And I was willing to say that third step prayer, but it wasn't until I got to the fear inventory that I realized, oh goodness, I see what's happening here, that I need to let go of control. And that God was going to manage all of me. And there's two things as a human being that are so hard to comprehend and to feel comfortable with is not having control, because that's all I did. I needed to be in control. I did it all my life with alcohol, and I couldn't even see I wasn't successful because I was hell bent on being in control. The other one is judgment, because all my life I judged you, so I looked at you so I can judge me. My whole existence was based on focusing on your behavior and personality. So I come to Alcoholics Anonymous and they say, judgment is one of those defects of character. How do I not judge? I did it all my life. And so when I got to this place where I offered myself to God, I remember, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm on a cliff. And it was my first honest prayer. And it was just a simple conversation. God, I'm willing. I feel like I'm high up on this cliff. I'm willing to jump, but are you going to be there to catch me? Are you going to be there to catch me? So I humbly offered myself to my maker. And then, so what did I know? I discovered the truth about me. I discovered the truth about God, and I discovered the truth about you. And I realized that I'm loved, I'm protected, and I'm enough. I learned how to love. One of the things that I say every day, part of my morning meditation, God, I'm willing to die to self so you can live life through me. I don't know love relying on self. My ego could care less. It's all that my ego wants is what it needs. I suck the air out of the universe. So I get to understand a whole new way of life. Once I offer myself to God, then I know what life is. Even so has God restored us all to our right minds. To this man, the revelation was sudden. So God restored us all. I got to realize that I'm no different. I'm no more, no less than the rest of the human race. I just have a wonderful opportunity to seek freedom. I have a wonderful opportunity to be awakened to the lie of who I thought I was. This restoration to my right mind, and I realized that Rashid, who's one of my teachers, would say, Donna, 1 + 1 is 1. And I never understood that. And he goes, don't worry, you'll catch on. And I realized that when I'm one with God, then it's God's wisdom. Never gets more complicated than 1 for me. It never gets more complicated. I'm powerless and I cannot do, it's not like God does some things and I do some things. No, I want to be one with God. So it's God's thoughts, wisdom, direction. So sometimes the revelation is sudden. We become awakened. And when did I start understanding awakeness? As I was going through this book, Howard says sometimes this is a word by word exercise. Sometimes it's a word that just hits us. This is not just reading the book. I gotta connect with the meaning behind the word. This is not a cerebral exercise. This is the first time that we're being presented with the way of life that we've probably all been seeking. I don't know about you, but I've always been a seeker. It took me to go through the pain of an alcoholic to come to the solution and to realize that all I'm doing is making my way back home. And in making my way back home, I bring other people with me as God's agent. So sometimes the revelation is sudden. It was sudden to Fred. It was sudden to me, but I didn't realize it was sudden. I just knew something happened to me on August 5th, 2000. I knew that I never had to drink again. I did not know that that was the hand of God. I did not know that my God was so powerful that it made self release me. I can say that now with conviction. Some of us grow into it more slowly. I think too often we're still trying to figure it out. We need more evidence. You know what was interesting, and it made me realize how I just have to be willing to believe. So I was walking the other day and I didn't have my Apple Watch on to the activity that I was doing. But my watch knew that I was walking. And it said, Donna, we see that you're walking. Do you want us to record? And I was like, wow, did I spend time needing to understand, well, how does my watch know? And let me try to research it. No, my phone just knew. My watch just knew. So can that be my starting point with God? God just is. I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. Maybe the circumstances of my life bring me to a place that I'm willing to believe that God is everything. And I've got a new sponsor. Mike D said, Donna, do you believe that if God is everything, that God is also in the nothing? And he said, don't think. And I'm like, oh my God, every time I'm with him, he doesn't want me to think. Just sit with it. And I realized that God was everything, even in the nothing, all that pain, misery, and despair that I didn't think that God was in, that God was in that with me. And God knew when I was ready to be led, when I was ready to follow, when I was ready to be brought into consciousness. So I'm willing to believe that God is everything, even in the nothing. That last sentence, but he has come to all who have honestly sought him. So there's no door number 3 in that paragraph. Either it's going to be sudden or it's going to be more slowly. It doesn't say that you're not going to have a relationship with God. And I think oftentimes we're too busy looking for the experience that we're having the experiences and we're not recognizing them. When we draw near to him, am I earnestly seeking? Do I have a willingness? The thing that doesn't change, that's constant, is willingness, open-mindedness, and honesty. And if you think about it, those 3 words don't have the power to evoke change. If I'm willing, if I'm open and I'm honest, then grace will meet that. And then God does what God does. We talk about how the change came over. It's not how we changed. I don't know how to change into anything other than a selfish and self-centered human being. But what I can do is be willing to live my life differently, to concern myself with others, to be concerned about how my actions and my reactions affect the world around me. And then if I'm asleep and I say something that is unkind, I have the decency and the awareness to apologize today. Am I willing to risk moving forward without a clear picture or understanding about what this power is capable of doing? Am I willing to be okay and not know? That's a hard pill to swallow for a human being, man. Be okay and not know. It's very uncomfortable, but the interesting thing is that's all we know is uncomfortability and pain. But we rather sit in the pain that we know, despair, worry, depression, fear. That's painful. But so is the uncomfortability of not knowing. It's very uncomfortable, but because that's so new, we rather go back and sit in what we know. Am I willing to sit in the uncomfortability of newness? Because on the other side of this uncomfortability is a transformation. Am I willing to sit in uncomfortability and not allow my ego to have its way with me? Because my ego has always been my God. Am I willing to put it on pause? It doesn't like that. Uncomfortable. When we draw near to him, he reveals himself to us. Am I willing to see the light in others? So we get restored to sanity, right? And it's interesting because we get returned to our original condition, how God's intention for me was. Now that means that I'm worth restoring. And for those of us that have been growing up thinking that we're not good enough, that we're less than, you don't restore anything that's not worth it. It's just like a piece of furniture at IKEA. A piece of furniture from IKEA, if it breaks, I throw it out. But a piece of furniture that is an heirloom, I restore it. I bring it back to its natural state. So in finishing step 2, it's not about understanding God. It's about me seeing my need for power and getting it. Step 2 has so much possibility. Am I willing to think that things were possible? Because I lived my life thinking things were so impossible. For the first time, we're given an opportunity to dream that maybe the life that we've always wanted, we can have it. And maybe we can see that all this seeking has brought us home. In the forward, it says, we hope every alcoholic who journeys finds himself to Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't understand that I would be here and that this is where home is until I can reach home with my father. So I had a birthday earlier this week. And for the first time in meditation, I went back to birth. Never did that before. And I thanked God for my parents as the vessels for bringing me life. And it didn't matter the kind of parents I had. And all my life, I hated my family. I hated my father. I hated my mom. But in that moment, I realized that it didn't matter the kind of parents. They were used by God to bring me life. And I thank God for everything about me that makes me uniquely me. I thanked him for the fun, and I also thanked him for the pain. Because I realized that I'm on my way home. I'm on my way back to God. And that was so powerful for me. I never went back that far. So you stay on this path long enough, you're going to understand all that pain, misery, and despair was not for you to sit around in life and just be okay. That was for you to seek a power greater than yourself so that you can understand your purpose. We've been chosen to be agents for God, spearheading his advancing creation. I cannot worry about problems. I cannot worry about what's going to happen to me, because then I can't be on the firing line and being available. I think we just become perfect instruments. The instrument is perfect for God. I don't have to be perfect. So I guess I can move into step how it works, Howard, or do you want me to just end now and then we open the floor to discussion? It's up to you.
Yep, just that paragraph, if you don't mind.
When we draw near to him, he disclosed himself to us. Do you believe that your creator is revealing itself to you? Is it happening through people? Is it happening through your own experiences? Every experience that I have, I realize it's to learn from, to grow from. I used to beat myself up when I fell short, but I realized that that's an opportunity for me to learn from, to grow from. And I realized that I can't expect people to be perfect. I think that sometimes people have to be who they are so I can grow. Can I have compassion? Can I have patience? Can I love? Regardless of who people are and how they are. I thought people needed to be who I needed them to be for me to be okay, and that's not the case today. Are you willing to draw near to a God that you may not really understand? So, Howard, I think I'm going to end there, and I look forward to hearing what this group has to share their own experiences about those paragraphs of being willing to believe that this power is so strong that nothing can shake it.
Okay, thank you. Let me just